The Babe led the Bombers to their first World Championship in 1923.
Strike three, a no-hitter, a perfect game for John Morrison.
He got his third home run of the game.
Hayes makes the catch. The Yankees win.
The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time.
The 1961 New York Yankees was one of the most well-balanced clubs in team history. It had spectacular starting pitching, airtight defense, but the hallmark of the club, of course, was power hitting.
Yankee fans remember '61, of course, as Ralph Houck's first season as a successor to Casey Stengel.
Ralph came in, and he's a man's man, went into the service as a private in the Green Beret and came out as a major. Toughest guy I've ever met. But he's the kind of guy that with a pat on the back can give you confidence that you're going to have a great year. His response to me was very simply, you're my second baseman. If you hit 100, 200, or 300, you're going to be playing second base for me.
In 1961, I too was engrossed with the big battle between Mantle and Maris as to who get the home run record.
Well, I took over the beat on August 2nd. You can imagine I'm a rookie on the beat, and they send me out to cover a team, and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of one of the most exciting and dramatic and historic seasons, the home run chase, Maris and Mantle.
And when Mickey started off so hot, and then Roger just took off and the chase began.
Mantle and Maris staged a season-long duel to see which player could pass Babe Ruth's single-season home run record of 60 home runs in a season.
Maris had been the MVP in 1960 and again in '61.
Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in the year 1961, vying for the opportunity of beating Babe Ruth's season home run record.
Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Holy cow, he's another standing ovation for Roger Maris. 61 home runs.
Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's single-season home run record by hitting number 61 on the final day of the regular season. He would go on to win the American League MVP, his second in as many seasons. Mickey Mantle, hampered by an injury late in 1961, would finish second in the majors with 131 runs scored, 54 home runs, and an OPS of 1.135. As a team, the Bronx Bombers hit a combined 240 home runs, a record at the time.
During the offseason, Ralph Houck, he hired Johnny Sain as his pitching coach, and they met with Whitey Ford.
Houck goes over to Ford and said, what would you think about pitching every fourth day this season? And Whitey said, I'd love to.
And one of the reasons I loved Whitey for his pitching is because here's a guy who did it with his head as well as his arm. He always was thinking ahead of the batter, and the curve was the big weapon that he used. He was not a big guy, but he was big as far as his ability went.
So dominating, even though he wasn't overpowering with the off-speed pitches and the sinker ball and fastball inside and the curveball and stuff. And we know what he did with that.
Whitey Ford won the 1961 Cy Young Award after leading the major leagues with 39 starts, 25 wins, and an .862 winning percentage. Ford's 283 innings pitched were the most by a Yankee since George Pipgrass threw over 300 innings in 1928. Louis Arroyo, the Yankees' bullpen workhorse who locked up some of Whitey's victories, recorded 29 saves in 65 appearances while posting a 2.19 ERA.
And it was a phenomenal year, and then go into the World Series against Cincinnati, who had a good ball club, with the Vada Pinsons and the Frank Robinson, pretty good pitching staff and so forth.
But this was their first World Series since 1940. Meanwhile, the New York Yankees had appeared in 14 World Series over the same time. So you had a lot of experience going into the series versus practically none.
Cincinnati Reds were a very menacing ball club. I mean, number one, they had a very good pitching staff, a very underrated pitching staff, and I think that was the one thing that we feared most. But then again, we had a ball club that hit 240 home runs, so we knew that one swing of the bat, we also could break up with a ball game.
But the series began without something very special. It began without Mickey Mantle, who was sidetracked due to a serious hip infection. Mantle missed the first two games of the World Series, but would return to play in Game 3 and in Game 4 in Cincinnati.
To drive home the point of superiority that the Yankees had, for Game 1, they brought in Joe DiMaggio to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. And so I think that impressed everyone and helped put the Reds in their place as they entered into this series.
Soon Jim O'Toole, a youngster of only 24, starts warming up. And across the way, Whitey Ford, a 25-game winner, gets ready for action.
Everybody expected Whitey to be a dominant pitcher in the World Series, and he was.
Whitey Ford hurled a 2-hit shutout in the first game of the '61 World Series. Elston Howard and Moose Skowron both launched solo home runs, which was all the offense that Whitey Ford needed during this game.
Skowron blends a long drive to deep left field. Frank Robinson takes one look, starts drifting back, but the ball is going, it's gone. Pinson lifts a soft pop fly to Kubek. The ball game is over, and the Yankees win 2-0. Ford has his third straight World Series shutout, his 8th series victory for a new record. And he also is closing in on Babe Ruth's mark of 29 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Joey J, now warming up, burst into stardom with 21 victories this year. Ralph Terry, 16-3 for the season, will start for New York.
Red starter Joey J stifled the Yankees' offense in Game 2.
Gardner lines to Casco, and the Reds triumph 6-2. It was a superb 4-hit performance by Jay. Other key factors were Coleman's homer and the alert base running of Chacon. It ties the series at 1 victory each, and the scene now shifts to Cincinnati.
Before they left for Cincinnati, games 3, 4, and 5, most of the Yankee players cleaned out their locker rooms because they had no plans whatsoever to come back to New York City.
So we went to Cincinnati as 1-1, and we were concerned about playing in a smaller ballpark where their power could equal our power. But as it were, our bench made the difference.
Johnny Blanchard, who probably won that year in '61, as many or more games pinch hitting and starting as did Roger or Mickey or anybody else.
And Blanchard was an interesting guy and had a great year. They used him as a pinch hitter, and he got a big home run in the World Series. That was his moment of glory.
Blanchard sends a towering fly deep to right field, and the score is deadlocked again at 2-2. But pinch homers aren't anything new to this budding new star of the Yankees. Blanchard hit 4 of them during the season.
And in the 9th inning, Roger Maris hit a solo home run to put the Yankees on top for good.
There's a long drive going to deep right field. It's going, it is gone. A home run for Roger Maris. And the Yankees win 3-2 for a 2-1 series edge. Arroyo, a spectacular 15-game relief winner during the season, gets the victory, while homers by Blanchard and Maris wreck a gallant performance by Bob Perky.
Whitey Ford started Game 4 of the World Series and pitched 5 shutout innings before being removed.
Well, Whitey was Whitey Ford. I mean, Whitey was the consummate money pitcher. And so you could always count on him when you went out in the game.
Whitey's always tough in the World Series. And you know Whitey. Chairman of the board.
Whitey Ford ran his consecutive scoreless inning streak to 32.
Breaking the record previously held by Babe Ruth, who of course had done it when he was pitching for the Red Sox.
Chacon grounds to Richardson, who throws him out, and that makes 30 straight scoreless innings.
I had the pleasure of shouting out loud that Whitey Ford has just set a new World Series record for the number of innings that he had pitched in a row without yielding a run.
When he had broken the record, we were all talking, and we said, it's been a bad year for the Babe. He lost his home run record, and he lost his pitching record.
Coates now needs only one more out to preserve the shutout. The ball game is over, and the Yankees win 7-0 to take a commanding 3-1 margin in the series. Ford once again proved a complete mystery to the Reds, and his collaborator, Jim Coates, was just as battling.
Game 5 of the 1961 World Series really showed the depth and strength of the Yankees lineup. Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra were both sidetracked due to injuries, so manager Ralph Houk called on reserve players Hector Lopez and Johnny Blanchard to start in left and right field respectively.
In the World Series, Yogi got hurt, Mantle got hurt, gave me a chance to play.
Lopez hit a home run and a double to drive in 5 runs.
Lopez really ties into one, a tremendous blast that rockets high over the wall to the right of the scoreboard for a tremendous home run.
But it was Bud Daly who closed the door on the Reds in the deciding game as the Yankees won the World Championship.
Pinson tries to check his swing on Daly's first pitch, lifts a pop fly to left. That Lopez gathers in, and it's all over. The Yankees win 13-5 and once again are world champion.
Blanchard and Lopez combined for 5 hits, 5 runs, 2 homers and 7 RBI in the final game of the 1961 Fall Classic. It was the Yankees' first championship under new manager Ralph Houck.
Bobby Richardson was a very quiet batting star. He had 9 hits and hit .391 for the series to lead the team.
Richardson, Skowron, Blanchard, and Lopez were the hitting stars of that World Series.
One of the lesser-known players who had a great series, you see this from time to time in October, Hector Lopez had just 9 at-bats in the 1961 World Series, and he drove in 7 runs.
Whitey Ford was the pitching star of the 1961 World Series. He allowed 0 earned runs over 14 innings and won both games in which he appeared. The chairman of the board would claim the World Series Most Valuable Player award.
We all remembered losing out to Pittsburgh in 1960. Mantle's biggest disappointment was that loss in the 1960 World Series.
A lesser team with lesser management skills and coaching skills after the 60 season that we got beat. They might have folded, but that isn't what it was.
We came back and we were indeed the world champions of 1961.
It was a very rewarding moment for me because my first year in organized baseball, here I am playing in the World Series with the greatest team on earth, and it was fun.
That 61 season was almost a dream year. Things came together. I think the leadership of Ralph Houck and his decision was so important. The pitching coach was so important.
The difference was timing. The difference in any World Series is timing. And it's not something that's really measured over the course of 4, 5, 6, 7 games. It's those little plays in one single game.
That was the highlight of my baseball career, the 1961 World Series.